Hello, brilliant learners! Ever feel like English is playing tricks on you? Like will or going to? And don't even get me started on say versus tell. It's like the language is designed to mess with us, but fear not. Today we're sorting it all out. After I explain each pair of words or phrases, I'm going to give you a quick pop quiz. Here's how it works. I'll give you some sentences with options to choose from. Once you've picked your answers, I'll explain which one is correct and why. So grab a pen and paper or just think of your answers in your head. Let's dive in. We will kick things off with a common mix-up, will and going to. Both talk about the future, but they're used in different ways. So, will is for when you decide something on the spot, like when you're hungry and you suddenly say, I'll grab a snack. You didn't plan it earlier, it just came to mind in the moment. But if you've already planned something, or if something is about to happen, you use going to. It's about intentions or actions that are already in motion. If you're sitting around and making plans for the weekend, you might say, I'm gonna crash at my friend's place on Saturday. You've already decided, maybe talked about it, but it's not 100% locked in yet. Here are some more examples to help. Will, spontaneous decisions. I'll have a burger for lunch. You're just deciding right now because you're hungry. I'll help you with that. You suddenly offer to help. Going to, plans or intentions. I'm going to watch a movie later tonight. You planned this earlier, maybe even checked the movie times. We're going to take a trip to the beach this summer. You've discussed it and you're thinking about it, but it's not set in stone yet. So, will is for things that pop into your head, and going to is for things you've thought about and planned out. Will versus going to pop quiz. 1. You're hanging out with your friends and you suddenly feel like grabbing a coffee. What do you say? A. I will get a coffee. B. I'm going to get a coffee. Give me your answer. The correct answer is A. I'll get a coffee. This is a spontaneous decision. You didn't plan it earlier. It just popped up. You and your friends have been talking about hitting the gym this weekend. You've already decided to go. What do you say? A. I will go to the gym this weekend. B. I'm going to go to the gym this weekend. The correct answer is B. I'm going to go to the gym this weekend. This is a plan you've already talked about and decided on, even if it's not 100% confirmed yet. Here's the deal. Say is about the words themselves. It focuses on what was spoken, not necessarily who heard it. For example, she said she was tired. The focus is on what she said, and it doesn't matter if she was talking to anyone in particular. If you want to mention a person, you have to use to, like she said to me she was tired. Tell, on the other hand, is about giving information to someone. It's less about the exact words and more about who is receiving the information. You can't use tell without mentioning the person. For example, she told me she was tired. The focus is on the person. She informed me and what she told me. Pop quiz, say versus tell. 1. Your little brother broke the vase and blamed it on the cat. How would you describe it? A. He said a lie. B. He told a lie. B. He told a lie. We say tell a lie. 2. Your teacher asked who did the homework and you admitted it wasn't you. What do you say? A. I said the truth. B. I told the truth. I told the truth. Tell the truth is correct. 3. You're leaving a party and want to politely let the host know. What do you do? A. I said goodbye to the host. B. I told goodbye to the host. I said goodbye to the host. It's say goodbye, not tell goodbye. 4. You're at a meeting and your colleague asked for your opinion about the project. What do you say? A. I said my opinion about the project. B. I told my opinion about the project. Sorry. I have a frog in my throat. A. I said my opinion about the project. Say works with the word opinion. 5. You're at a party and someone shared a really funny joke. How would you describe it later? A. She said a hilarious joke. B. She told a hilarious joke. She told B a hilarious joke. We say tell a joke, not say a joke. All right, let's clear up who versus whom. It's easier than you think. Use who when talking about the person doing the action. I know who called you. Now use whom when it's about the person receiving the action. Like, whom should I call? The person to whom I sent the email never replied. But here's the thing. In everyday speech, people rarely use whom. Most of the time they just say who, even when whom is technically correct. Instead of saying whom should I call, people usually just say who should I call. So don't stress. If you're writing formally, like in an essay, whom might be worth using, but in casual conversations, stick with who and you'll be just fine. Pop quiz. You're at a party and want to know the name of the person your friend introduced. What do you ask? A. Who did you introduce me to? B. Whom did you introduce me to? A. Who did you introduce me to? Even though whom is technically correct, most people say who in casual conversation. 2. You're pointing out the person responsible for organizing an event. What do you say? A. She is the one who planned everything. B. She is the one whom planned everything. 2 is A. She is the one who planned everything. Who is correct because it refers to the subject of the action, the person doing the planning. 3. You're being polite in a formal setting and want to ask about a guest someone invited. What do you say? A. Whom did you invite to dinner? B. Who did you invite to dinner? B. Who did you invite to dinner? Technically, it should be whom because the person invited is receiving the action. However, in everyday speech, who is more natural? At the end versus in the end. At the beginning versus in the beginning. They sound super similar, but they're actually used in different ways. At the end is used when you're talking about the final part of something. You know, it's always about the physical end of something, like the end of the movie, the end of the road. At the end of the movie, the hero wins. You're talking about the very last part of something. Okay. You can use at the end because there's always a clear point you can describe. At the end of the day, at the end of the road, at the end of the meeting. It's about the last part of something. And notice that at the end always takes the preposition of to connect it to something specific, like at the end of the week or at the end of the game. At the end of something means at the last final part or stage of something. Now, in the end is used when you're talking about the final result or conclusion of something after thinking about different factors. It's not about the specific point, it's more like the overall outcome. In the end, I decided to stay home. This is about the final decision you made after considering your options. In the end means finally. Finally, I decided to stay home. One quick thing. In the end doesn't take off like at the end does. And in the end is usually followed by a comma when it's used in a sentence like in the end, comma, I stayed home. Now, the same thing applies to at the beginning of something and in the beginning. At the beginning refers to the starting point of something. At the beginning of the movie, we meet the main character. You're talking about the very start of the movie. So it basically means at the start of something. In the beginning refers to the initial stage or early part of something. Before things develop or change. In the beginning, it was hard, but things got better. It's about how things were early on before the outcome. In the beginning means initially or at first. At first, things were hard, but then they improved. Just like with at the end, at the beginning takes the preposition of, like at the beginning of the book or at the beginning of the year. But remember, in the beginning doesn't need of. So, to sum up, at the end and at the beginning talk about specific moments or places and always need of. In the end and in the beginning talk about the overall result or initial state and don't need of. And don't forget that with in the end you need that comma. Quiz time. In the end of the meeting or at the end of the meeting we took questions from the audience. A. At the end of the meeting. This refers to the final part of the meeting. There's also the preposition of, which means that you should use at the end of. In the end or at the end, we decided to cancel the trip due to bad weather. In the end or at the end. In the end, which means eventually, okay? In the beginning of the meeting or at the beginning of the meeting, we discussed the agenda. In the beginning of the meeting or at the beginning of the meeting. B. At the beginning of the meeting, we discussed the agenda. At the beginning talks about the start of something and needs of. All right, that's a wrap. Keep practicing and don't stress the small stuff. English can be confusing, but the more you use it, the clearer it gets. If you aced those pop quizzes, awesome job. If not, don't worry. Just rewind and give it another go. Drop a comment with any other confusing English pair you want me to tackle next time. Want a part 2 with even more tricky pairs? Do you want me to explain the differences between the present perfect and past simple? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.